It's a hard question. You don't need to keep that one in there, it's rambling. The Collective is a range of yogurts, really tasty yogurts, and we've just introduced kefir drinks as part of our range as well. We launched in the UK in 2011. We now have just over 30 staff and we're hiring a load more. So we're in fast phase of growth, as always has been at the Collective, but the team is growing at quite a rapid rate at the moment. Before starting the Collective, Mike Hodgson and I worked together at OVERUSED. Goo, fantastic success story of a challenger brand, and it's really on the map as one of the original challenger brands alongside Innocent and Ben & Jerry's. So had the very, very fortunate experience of working alongside James Arvadique, the founder, over a period of time where we built the brand from 2 million to 35 in quite a quick-paced time period. And then when the business was sold and we were looking for new challenges, Mike and I decided that we really, really wanted to work together. And at that time, we were introduced by a mutual friend to Offer and Angus, who started the Collective in New Zealand in 2009. And they're two ex-chefs, absolutely fanatical about great tasting food. And they just thought that yogurts had the opportunity to give it a bit of a shake-up, to make it taste amazing, to make it a real experience, rather than the kind of more commoditized item that it potentially can be. So they wanted to inject taste and fun into the yogurt world. And when we saw the passion fruit product, which we're now really famous for, in its big tub, you can see the product, the packaging leapt out at us. We were already sold from having seen the packaging, and we tasted the product and we went, wow, there's just massive opportunity in the UK to launch something really different within the yogurt aisle, and something that can be more of an escapism moment, and that you can really, really focus on taste. So we decided to do a joint venture with Offer and Angus in 2010. Took the product as an idea and a concept to Sainsbury's and Waitrose, and they could also see the vision of growing a brand within the yogurt category that had taste and innovation and a bit of fun at its heart into the category. And we launched the product from inception of the idea of doing this JV in December 2010. We were on shelf of Sainsbury's and Waitrose by June 2011. And that time felt a really, really long time at the time, but looking back, how we managed to get the business off the ground in 6 months, I still don't know how we did it. So there were literally two of us at two desks creating the business from absolute scratch. And you know, for a very long time there was only a few of us in the business, and innovation and growing products and going into new areas has always been at our heart. And we now have our indulgence range, which is our gourmet range. We have a healthy range with kefir and straight up, and then we have a whole kids business with our Suckies pouches. So I think the uniqueness of our story is that Mike and I both come from sales backgrounds. Before Goo, I was at L'Oreal, and before that Kellogg's. So we always had the retailers absolutely at our hearts and in our minds as to what type of products they were looking for. And I guess the transition from Goo to the Collective, it was similar buyers within the same space and having a network, and also really understanding what it took to build a joint business plan, to create a business that they would trust and know that was going to be well run, that the products were great technically. We weren't starting from absolute scratch. So I think with the network that we had, we were able to create strong businesses with Sainsbury's and Waitrose and Ocado very early on. So I think our sales background really helped with that. And I guess I describe myself as a slight quasi-entrepreneur, that I've got this kind of blue chip training, but I've got this yearning to develop and create a business in an entrepreneurial way that's challenging what's ever been done before, challenging the type of business I want to create, team I want to create. And that sales background, I guess, has been at the heart of how we've thought about growing and developing the business. I always say, going into talking to a buyer, make sure that at least 70–80% is about their business, not about your business. We're all so passionate about the brands that we own and that we, shed blood, sweat and tears for, But we want to only talk about that. We have to flip it around the other way. What's going on in their world? What's the Tesco strategy or the Sainsbury's strategy? And how does your offering solve problems for them? Yeah, absolutely. And I would say even though the environment is tough right now in terms of everything that's going on with Brexit and economic uncertainty, the land of challenger brands and where the consumer's at and what they're looking for are natural products that have honesty, that are transparent, that consumers can get to know, that have innovation and taste at their heart. Those are the brands that are growing at the moment. And the much bigger businesses that are reliant on business models that are set up for maybe 10 years ago aren't able to move as quickly and be as agile. So if you go and speak to Tesco and they talk about what they're looking for now, we would be the type of business that would be better placed to move very quickly towards meeting those needs and meeting consumers' needs. For me personally, I love the Blinkist app because I love business books, but I don't have time to be reading all the way through. And what Blinkist does is really clever, that you can read the synopsis of a really good book, like loads of different books, business books or life books or time-saving books or leadership, and you will have the synopsis and the key points from that book, and you can get through it in about 10 minutes. So that just saves time, so you can cover lots of famous books and get the key messages from it. I would say I'm always describing things as amazing. I need to find a bit more words to describe things that are amazing. There's no single frustration. I think as a business leader, there's always niggles, and you've always got something you're dissatisfied with, which is probably quite a common trait in business leaders and owners, that nothing's ever perfect. There's always something that you want to improve and you want to make better. So I always feel a niggle about something in particular, and whether it's we've got the right number of people in the team, that we are able to move quick enough. You're just on a constant improvement phase. I've got a 6-year-old, and the fact that he now notices that we're in lots of different stores is quite good, seeing it through the eyes of a child. And we're making wins most weeks, and it's actually taking the time out to celebrate and to put into context what those wins are. I just found out we sold our millionth bottle of kefir, but we wouldn't have known that unless we'd looked at it in a certain way. So I think it's finding most weeks, or pretty much every week, there's a win to celebrate, and it's really celebrating that with the team, because it's a whole team effort to achieve those wins. Absolutely, and it's interesting, he's now asking to see all the different sign-offs on artwork. So I've got yet another person in the team that wants to be the controller of the look and feel, and seeing products and taste and the way that they use it through the eyes of a child is really eye-opening. And things like kefir, and how do you communicate what kefir is, again through the eyes of a child. It's amazing bacteria that are like superheroes that are going to zap all the bad bacteria inside you, is a really simple way of looking at it. So absolutely, it makes me look at things in a more simplistic way. I mean, recently we took all the lids off our little pots, which had spoons under the lid, and there was one packaging run that got out there with a label that said there's a spoon under my lid, and clearly there's no spoon under the lid. So it was counterintuitive that we made this big step of taking the lids off and still said there was a spoon, but it was one packaging run, but nonetheless a bit embarrassing. The consumers were pointing out that we had no spoon under the lid because there was no lid. I mean, the lunch trade shows are a great trade show each year, and it has lots of different buyers from different backgrounds, whether it's a pub chain or whether it's an airline. So you might meet buyers that you wouldn't normally come across within the grocery trade. So lunch has been a good show for us. Sainsbury's and Tesco on the same day. I can calculate it. Hold on. Okay. So the first order was worth about £15,000. I think what's been interesting is when you talk to people about where did they first find out about us, there's a plethora of ways. which has meant that lots of the grassroots type marketing activities that we have done have all contributed in people finding us in different ways. So for example, we worked with Geraint Thomas, who's the Tour de France winner years ago. He loved the products, and we literally created a product for fun with him, and we sampled during the Tour de France when it first came to the UK. Lots of people saw us at those cycling parks. Then we've worked with the Brownlee brothers on our kids products, and they've seen us sampling when there've been triathlons on. Then we did huge waves of sampling in Sainsbury's and Waitrose. A lot of people found us that way in Whole Foods. Then we've done sampling in Ocado, where we've given away thousands of pots in people's baskets, and that's how they found it. So what's really interesting is when I ask people how they first discovered us, there is no one way or route that they've come to us. It's been all of the different ways that we've done our marketing activities. I'm so driven to creating something big and bold and being a main player within the yoghurt category, and it's about bringing the team on the journey, about making sure that we have the right size, and I'm kind of gung-ho in ambition, and I guess it is a strength, but then I've got high expectations for where I want to take the business and where we want to build it to. I make our purpose really compelling, and I make where we're headed very simple to understand. So we've got one-page document which we call the temple. It's got 5 key pillars of where we want to get to. It's very visual, so people can see it in their minds, and they know that we operate within those 5 areas, and where we want to get to over time within those areas. The simpler the better, because what can happen, the more people you bring into the business, everybody's got so many ideas and so many different activities that they want to do to grow the brand. They can do all of those, but as long as they're condensed within where we're trying to get the business to. And I talk about it again and again and again, and it's about simplifying so that we're all in the same boat, rowing in the same direction. And it's about having all the teams working together as well, so you're not siloed from sales, marketing, product, finance. Everybody's in it together. So what we're trying to create with the brand is having a lot of fun within the dairy fixture. Over time and historically, dairy has been quite commoditized. It's quite medicinal in a way. We want people to have lots of fun eating it, but we want to do it in a very sustainable way that's good for the planet, that we do good, give back, and that we have these open and honest conversations with the consumer, that they know who we are, they know the team, they can visualize, picture us where we work, who we are behind the brand. We want to let them in our world, and we want to have this really great conversation with consumers, but make them smile along the way, make dairy fun, tasty, and a really, really enjoyable experience, and give them something to smile about.